Good. I went to the doctor. Ooh,
We are live. All
And the
right.
doctor said,
Mike Doyle with the mortgage firm, and we are live. It is Wednesday at noon. We do an open forum. We just kind of, whatever questions you have about mortgages, bring them on. So we'll go ahead and we'll cover different topics. The topic we're going to cover today is just going to be the mortgage process. What a customer can expect as they go through the mortgage process. I'm here. Right next to me is Elizabeth Lopez. And on the far end is Tom Bennick. Both been in this industry forever, incredibly knowledgeable, top customer service. They've done it all.
mortgage information from my Mazda. How about that?
We got everybody just snuck in just in time. We just got audios working, everything all over the place. So I appreciate you guys.
All good.
So
All good. Yeah, so we're going to kind of go through the process from kind of start to finish, I guess, from documentation we might be looking to get from you, from pre-approval, the process, from meeting you for the first time to seeing you at the closing table.
So let's go ahead and pull it in and go ahead. And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. We get people will text us questions along the way. So if you have any of those and just want to text us, go ahead and feel free to do that too. All right. So let's just start the first part of the process. The first thing, get pre-approved. All right. So figure out what you qualify for. So much of what we do right now is somebody's looking for a $500,000 purchase and we qualify them for about $250,000. Or once they figure out exactly what their payments are going to be, what their down payment is going to be and everything else, it just doesn't match or doesn't line up. So you want to make sure that you're getting pre-approved. Let us look at your credit. We'll do credit analyzers. I did one just in the last hour. We pulled a 625 credit score. I need a 640 for a lot of the programs that we like to work with that, help customers with, some of the first time homebuyer programs. We ran an analyzer on that customer. He pays one credit card down, $200. He's going to get up over a 720. So that's huge. The difference in pricing between on a regular loan, the difference in pricing between a 620 and a 720 is gigantic. So if your lender is not looking at that type of stuff, you're just getting crushed, because I will guarantee that the rate that you get on a 720 versus 620, you would have to pay at least 2 points. And 2 points means 2 percentage points. So if you have a $400,000 loan, you're probably looking at $8,000 of additional cost to get the same rate as somebody with a 720. So you definitely want to make sure that your lenders are looking at this type of stuff.
I also had this conversation with somebody yesterday, and they couldn't believe that we could do it. They said, "What's the lowest you could do an FHA pre-approval?" And I said, 580. But that's all they hear is 580. But I'm not doing them any favors if I'm going with the 580 without trying to attempt to get their credit score up if we could possibly get it. Because again, like Mike said, you're looking at having to do the buy down of the points and money that you could be putting towards a down payment. So, yeah, that's really important to know that we're going to go that extra step to get you the best possible scenario.
Yeah. And again, $200, 100-point score improvement.
And sometimes it's not even anything out of pocket. I had somebody that all they needed to do was be added as an authorized user to a credit card, and it jumped enough to get them into a program for a veteran. We're closing at the end of July, and that's all it took was no money, just to be added as an authorized user on a credit card. That made his score jump up enough to get him to where we needed him to be.
Yeah. Or you get a 630 or 635, we get you to 640. Now you qualify for Hometown Heroes. Now you qualify for Home Run. Now you qualify for all kinds of down payment assistance.
Right.
But
Yeah, some of these loan programs you might hear that they'll go as low as a 580 credit score, but the rate and the pricing on that is going to be ridiculous. So that's why we look to see what we can do to get you into a better rate and a better program.
now the pre-approval too, you get that pre-approval local direct lender, which we are. We have an excellent reputation. You type in any of our names and mortgages, you're going to hear something good. The listing agents know us. They know our company. They probably know us. They know our branch. So when you come in with that pre-approval and you're up against companies they've never heard of, internet companies, these large companies that they know are very slow, it gives you a better option of getting your offer accepted. So also when you make that offer, Everybody knows, shoot me a text, shoot Elizabeth, shoot Tom. Once you make that offer, shoot us a text. Let us know who the listing agent is, and we'll look up their number. If you give me the number, we'll give them a call, and we'll just let them know, excellent customer, superior credit scores, W-2 income, whatever you've authorized us to release, that's going to help your case. But they know that we can move quickly. So when we make that call to that listing agent, they know that they've got a bunch of offers, and they know a good chunk of them are going to fall apart. They also, if they have cash offers, I want to let them know that we're probably financing some of their cash offers, because people come to us all the time after they have a contract. Never heard of them, never spoke to them, and they call us and they say, I got a cash contract. Can you get me financed? All right, let's see. They got a 10-day inspection period. If I can't get them financed, then they can walk away because the house is haunted or whatever else they want. I would bet you that our pre-approved customers close at a higher rate than cash offers do. Now, of course, if a cash offer comes in and they show you bank statements and they got a 2-day inspection period, that's a pretty solid cash offer. But a lot of these cash offers are financed offers. The listing agents, the sellers just don't know it.
Yeah, we have a question here from a Robert that asks about is exactly that. How long is the process? The mortgage firm has a program that we will get you pre-approved for your financing long before you find a property. So if you want to reach out to us and go through the approval process, that means even going through the underwriting process long before you even have a property. This way, when you do find the property, you can say to those sellers, look, I can close just like a cash buyer in less than 2 weeks because you've already been approved. So that's a program that we have that's a huge help to a lot of buyers. And it really gives you the advantage over cash buyers.
All right, I want to mention really quick, we've got a celebrity guest on here, Adrian Carruthers with Keller Williams Wellington. Adrian is one of the leaders of the Keller Williams Group, absolutely one of the top producers, truly a very professional agent. And she's been part of the political committee out there. She's been part of the leadership committees, very active in charity work. Amazing kids, very active, but just all around wonderful realtor. And Adrian, we appreciate you coming to join us.
Yes, I think I just came from that meeting. Adrian, you were at the front of that class the whole time. They were passing out awards to you like it was candy. Congratulations.
All right.
Yeah, so going back to like the pre-approval, just know that we're always going to try to do that extra step. And I can't say this enough and stress this enough. The fact that we communicate with our listing agents to make sure that they know that we've dug, that we've asked. And again, I know that we joke around saying, we ask a lot of questions. It's because we want to make sure that this pre-approval is going to go smooth. I'd rather just get everything we need to know out of the way up front, just to have what I call a smooth landing, smooth closing. So lots of information during the pre-approval. So don't be surprised if we try to dig. We're just trying to prepare for a smooth rest of the process.
Yeah. And look, there's nothing you're telling us that we haven't heard. I'll tell people usually your credit score is not going to be the worst credit score I've probably seen that day, let alone in my career. There is nothing in your story that's going to surprise anyone. We're looking for that story. I dream of that story where I'm like, wow, because there's nothing you're going to tell us that's going to be a crazy story. Just let us know it and we can work around it. There's always, again, what I love about this business is the problem solving. And I tell you, one of the key things, we put our heads together along with our operations team, and we can figure out how to solve a lot of problems. So lay it out there, let us know what it is. We're going to dig in and probably find it anyways. And let us solve some of these problems. That's the fun part of this job is getting some of these tough ones done.
During the pre-approval part also, just know that you're going to leave our table with a plan. It's not going to be a no. It's going to be we could probably do this. Let's prepare your taxes, get your taxes going for next year, or let's work a little bit on your credit, or, you don't have enough in your savings. Okay, let's talk about budgeting, but we don't believe in just closing the doors and just, not having these, everybody just have that goal in mind. So, some people are ready to close in 10, 15, 30 days. I just closed on someone that I've been working with June 2022. And at the end of the month, somebody that I've been working with since June 2021. So it happens sometimes, but just know that there's a plan out there for everybody.
She can also close next week, just for
Yeah, no, just I don't do yearly plans, but
a 2-year plan. So all
I'm just
realtors,
sharing that everybody's just a little bit different. We
she'll
all
have it-
go.
she'll
We
have
all
it
go
cleared.
at your pace.
She'll have it closed within 2 years.
Dude,
No,
if
look,
trade
if it's
didn't
next
exist,
week-
you'd be straight to doc prep, next day
Yeah.
closings. I used to
Next
do
week,
that.
next month, next year, we're all good. But that's what I say. I don't care. Everybody has a plan. Your plan might be get out of jail, build credit, get a job. We're going to lay on a plan. So everybody's got a path to buying a house. All right.
All right, so step 2.
All right. Let's jump to the application. So the application is once you're under contract. So you're under contract, and then we plug the address in. So now we have the parts of the application that we put the certain information in, and now we have an official application. Most of your contracts will say, did you make application within 5 days? So most of the customers, if I have that contract in, we're making application that day. The only thing is if it gets signed on a Saturday or Sunday, whatever, usually we'll have the actual application on Monday. But there's the thought of somebody not making application in 5 days just doesn't happen. Now, I have had where people come to us after they've had an application and they wanted to do the home inspection first, which we don't want to do. We want to go ahead and we just want to be ready. And then we get our side going. And if we time things out, if we have time, absolutely. I want to time the appraisal after the home inspection, because if you get out there and that home inspection is something horrible, you got structural damage, roof damage, black mold, whatever that says I need out of this, then you haven't dropped another $495 on the appraisal. So if we can save you some money on that, we definitely will. So it's nice to time those out just a little bit, and you don't have to time it out much. Just get that home inspection really quick, and then we'll go ahead and we'll have the appraisal done just a couple days later. The home inspection blows up, we'll get you out of that.
The application part is also where we're going to start updating just additional documentation that we need. So let's say up front, we just didn't know, or a divorce or a bankruptcy or whatever. We want to get as much as we can up front during the pre-approval stage. But this is the part where we're going to be digging a little bit more and getting additional documentation aside from the basic documentation that we asked during the pre-approval. So just know that there's going to be a little bit more asking throughout the process, but applications when we try to start getting everything prepared, the documents and disclosures and getting it prepared to go into underwriting.
Yeah, we'll have our loan partners that will review all the little stuff, because again, like Elizabeth said, maybe a coupon for an HOA that you didn't have at the pre-approval. We get a lot of people that we get a call on the weekend. We're going to make an offer on a house. So we're pulling all the information, and sometimes you're like, all right, my HOA is $200 a month on this property. I don't have the coupon. I need the coupon before I go ahead and I submit it. My insurance is this much per year. We want to go ahead and get the insurance deck page. But when we're doing the pre-approvals, little stuff like that we just know we don't necessarily need that for the pre-approval. Again, we want to gather everything. But then when the application is there and we're under contract, we want to have a clean file. So when we send it in, it comes back quickly.
Keep in mind, when we get a contract, that's when our clock starts ticking. There's dates on that contract that we have to abide by or have you prepared to make decisions on inspections, on appraisals, on closing dates. So none of us on this call, we've all worked together for years, are aggressive individuals, but it's the contract and it's those dates that we want to be sure that we meet.
Yeah. All right. The setup, that's the big behind the scenes thing. So, we can't do a whole lot until the customer signs that application and they sign a couple documents, authorizations that allow us to move forward. I can't be ordering title on their behalf. I can't be reaching out to their employer on their behalf. I can't be running fraud guards, backgrounds, all the little things that go on behind the scenes. I can't be doing that until they authorize me. So when someone says, did you order the appraisal? The appraisal is not getting ordered until they've authorized us to move forward. All right. So there is one of those documents in there that just says, intent to proceed. Do you intend to proceed to closing on this? So until they've signed all those authorizations, we can't start with all the behind the scenes stuff.
That's correct. And that's exactly what it's called, intent to proceed, which means you're intending to proceed with the transaction, which now allows us to order the appraisal, take care of title, and go ahead and move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So verifications, transcripts we'll order sometimes from the IRS. a lot of times on these transfers, the IRS has gotten slow on that. So if we're on a super fast close, we'll have the customer order transfers from the IRS, which in general is a pretty smooth process. Occasionally they start doing a little identify me type stuff, but we'll walk them through the process. So we have people that'll go ahead and get in and walk customers through the process. But yeah, the IRS transcripts, occasionally they'll come back on a fast close. And we had one 2 weeks ago. I think we closed it in 8 days. So some of those things, like I said, we just have to be, when we're going fast, we just need to go ahead and help a little bit. I tell you, the biggest thing that we run into that is such a help when I'm dealing with realtors that are problem solvers, and you can find out, when you have customers that are problem solvers too. Like I get on the phone, hey, I need you to call the IRS. This is, the information. They're on there. They're doing it. A lot of the first-time home buyer classes we have to go ahead and, or the first-time home buyer loans we do, they have to go to a class. So we have different types of classes depending on whether we're taking them Fannie, whether we're taking them Freddie. We send them the links. They get the stuff done. When we run into the problems, I know when I'm dealing with a realtor who steps forward and is just a problem solver. So I tell you, that's what we're looking for, because this industry, it's not a simple industry. All right. There's a lot of stuff out there and there's a lot of things that you have to overcome. So when and I notice a big difference when I'm dealing with people that are problem solvers and people that just lose it when things come up. And the problem solvers are the ones that we close a lot of loans with, those problem solvers.
And speaking of problem solving, that leads me into my next comment is, once you get that contract, insurance in Florida, we all know, is becoming a little bit challenging. So we're going to go ahead and, once you're done with the inspection, we're going to certainly ask you to reach out to some insurance companies to see what that insurance premium is going to be.
Yeah. Tom says insurance is crazy. So when we're estimating insurance, I don't know, I'm estimating $4,000 a year, and we're running to people that might have 6, 8. If you've got an old roof, then we have all kinds of potential problems. So, you want to get on that insurance quickly. We have a couple good people we refer out. Definitely, if you have somebody, talk to them. If you need a new roof, there's certain things we can do. You can have a contract with a roofer that says that the roof will be replaced within 90 days. And then there's insurance that we can get for you. But, the insurance agents right now, you have 30-year-old roofs, 20-year-old roofs, and they go and insure it. And then a storm comes in the next week, and now they have a claim for a brand new $25,000 roof. So, and right now with a lot of the stuff going on, there were a lot of lawsuits, and a lot of these roofs were getting replaced. So the agents just wanted no part of that. That's why it's difficult to get roofs insured that are 20 years old, because they know that everybody's looking for a way to get that roof replaced by the insurance company in the next couple of years. So we want to get this stuff knocked out and addressed early, but insurance is big complication right now. But you have a few insurance agents that understand this. They're working with you. The good insurance agents have plan A, plan B, and plan C out there. So what's the highest insurance you guys have run into? I don't think I've run into insurance more than $45 in the last several months for a house. Tom,
yeah, I would say I'm certain 45, 5,000, depending on the property or the size of it. Of course, flood zone or not will determine some of the premium.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Gotcha. But yeah, I haven't, like these $8,000 policies. I've heard people talk about $8,000, $10,000 policies, and I haven't run into that. Or I haven't been able to not work around it. We might have gotten a quote for 8,000, but we've always been able to come back and get a quote for 4,000. I feel like I'm jinxing myself on that right now, so hopefully not. Maybe I'm just jinxing you two on that now.
Once again, here he goes. We're used to this.
There we go. All right.
Doing step 3 and step 4 between the setup and the processing, there's a lot of communication going on between us and the title company, us and the listing agent, us and the borrower, us and the buyer's agent. So we try to keep open communication with all parties involved, because even though this process is so important for for the borrower, and maybe we do this every single day, but we're always working with a new team. So we're always working with a new listing agent, a new buyer's agent, maybe a title company that's never worked with us before. But the communication is there. That's just, I can't stress that enough. Communication is really what's going to get us through this process.
And I will tell you something that we do, because it's one of my pet peeves. If we ask you for something that you already sent, So let's say I ask you for your recent bank statement and you send it. And then somebody on our team reaches out and asks for that bank statement again after you sent it. That is a pet peeve of mine. So go ahead and re-forward that email or call it to our attention, and you'll get a little $5 Starbucks gift card. So we do not want to be doing that. Just one of those little things that just drives me crazy. So we want to go ahead and do that. But I also say too, if we give you a list of items to gather, so if I give you if we give you a list of 5 items to gather, and you gather up 4 of them, that's great. Send the 4 in until you get the 5th one. But don't send the first one in, and then the next day the second, and then in the afternoon the third. And then, so as you start sending more stuff in piecemeal, then it starts becoming sometimes a little bit more complicated. So gather the stuff together and send it in. And if you have one thing that's holding you up, go ahead and send in the 4 and then get the 5th later. All right.
And send all the pages, all of them, even if they're blank.
What about the blank page that says this page
I
left?
need that page more than anything.
Why would you need the blank page, Elizabeth? That sounds like a lot to ask.
Yeah, it's blank.
Yeah.
Well,
because I'll go on, Tom.
I'll try to answer that one. Only because regretfully experienced it. So after your loan closes, we, of course, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac buys your loans. If there's documentation that's missing, your loan will not get serviced by another lender. So that loan actually stays with us. So that prevents us from lending money out again. So why we need all the documentation is because the guidelines require all pages, even if it's left blank, all pages.
Comes the Tom Bennick loan for the next 30 years. And
that's right.
We don't know that there's not a loan that your recent car loan or your line of credit might be on that 5th page. So a lot of times those other types of miscellaneous things happen on the 5th page. So you want to know about that.
Just don't send screenshots.
Yeah. All right. Processing the big deal. Elizabeth, do we have good processing here?
We have the best.
The best. Yes.
So the best. I mean, I can't, oh my gosh, it's enough. And I always say, you know what, between setup and processing, our loan partners, that's our pretty much our glue to like everything. I mean, we're all there to help as a team, but we seriously have some of the best processors.
Yeah. We have Kathy Anderson is recognized in this company as the best processor in the company. And for those of you who know Jenny Rodman, she's a realtor with Ryan Jennings Group. She's her sister. But Kathy's been doing this she was with me at our previous place probably 12 years ago. And I'll tell you that the place, it was a mess from an operation standpoint. And they pulled her in and nobody knew. Even the lenders, nobody knew. The owners, nobody knew about her. And she came in and just immediately cleaned it up. Everybody just started feeding stuff to her. And she was just in her own zone. And everybody would come to her and she would direct them. But Kathy's probably one of the best problem solvers there is. So.
And everybody is available on our team. It's not like when, I had a few years, or I think when we all had a few years at the bank where it's impossible to get a hold of somebody, or believe it or not, banks even have what's called quiet time where they get to shut their phones off for an hour. That's not what happens here. We're able to pick up the phone and talk to anybody at any given moment if there's any questions. Yeah. There's no quiet time in our office. We don't shut our phones off.
It's not that, but I remember the banks, though, we always said is you want to talk about loneliness when you've got a problem with a loan. Think of not being able to get a hold of a processor for days. Think of telling your customer that you need to talk to your processor and you can't get a return phone call from your processor in Chicago for 3 days. Never spoke. I bet you in my years at some of those bigger banks, I don't know if I spoke to an underwriter twice in a year.
Yeah, and regretfully, if we did, it was a very short conversation. Why are you calling me? So one of those type things.
Yeah, I think I got a call as I was parked in front of my closing. As I was parked in front of my closing, going in to celebrate a closing at one of the big banks, I got the call saying that it went through like a quality review and that my loan was being denied. So I was able to walk into the closing and let everybody know that they denied the loan from a big bank. So that was probably. Yeah, one of the things that said it's time to go. It's time to go. So
I bet that's one of the banks you and I worked at together.
Yeah, we were there together.
If I look out my car window, I'm looking straight at one of them.
But don't be too hard on all those. But You know what I always say sometimes when you get a big bank, somebody's like, you have the cost, you have where you're going to make your money, and everybody lays out where you're going to make your money. And somebody says, you got to do mortgages, and they're like, oh, are you serious? so everybody has their own XYZ bank, but then you have an XYZ mortgage as sort of a separate company, and that XYZ mortgage, they just don't want to take too much risk. So that sometimes becomes.
We have a lot of partners, referral partners at the bank level that will refer to their own mortgage lenders, come to us because they know that it just works different. So, I mean, I remember just the bank level, it was like, man, I would cringe when somebody would say, I need a mortgage, and be like, oh, somebody's going to shoot down this referral. Like, I was just ready for it because it wasn't just, let's try to help this individual. It was almost like somebody walking in saying, let me tell you how you're not going to get a mortgage, and then just point out all the negative, but there was no help there. So it does make a huge difference when you're dealing with a direct lender and a team that's going to be there to support each other. And believe me, when there's a problem, we all get together. It's probably not the funnest time, but we got to get it. We got to get through it. And a lot of times, yes, things arise. I mean, I wish every single transaction was going what Tom calls, straight to doc prep, meaning like no work involved, just straight to closing. But there's just a lot of steps, as you can see here in our process, that we have to meet. But no, we're all there for each other, and it's all all hands on deck, just to make sure that we're all just looking at maybe something from different angles. Or I'll tell you, sometimes I'll be ready to throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm done. This I'm not going to be able to close this. And then here comes Kathy and going, what are you talking about? You could do this and this and this. And it was like nothing ever happened. It's just you sometimes I think we get too wrapped up into the way we think that we're not seeing things from a different perspective. And that's what we're on.
All right, I got a question here from Rob. It says, how do you handle problems that arise during the inspection period? So the inspection period is anything can arise. I tell people don't overthink, little stuff, chipped paint, carpet's dirty, all the little things that maybe you didn't notice when you were looking at the house the first time. But you want to be looking at the big stuff. Look at, is there a roof problem, roof leaks? Do you have major problems with the, with the plumbing? Like, do you have the polybutyl piping, which is a big problem? Old electrical boxes, wiring, things that are maybe dangerous. So black mold. Look at the big stuff, and even sometimes with the big stuff, sometimes roofs can get replaced. Sometimes you can negotiate with the seller. There's a lot of things that can be done. So again, that's where it comes back to having a really good realtor. So you want a good home inspector who's identifying this stuff, and you want an experienced realtor who can go ahead and negotiate for you. So when I run into people that say, I'm just going to deal with the listing agent, I mean, I'm a big proponent of getting a buyer's agent. I mean, the money is being paid for by the seller. Have somebody working for you, because the listing agent is not working for you. So the listing agent negotiating on your behalf is a huge advantage. I'm sorry, having your own buyer's agent negotiate on your behalf is a huge advantage, because the listing agent was hired by the seller. The listing agent can't go back to the seller and beat the seller up that much and try and start fighting for a whole lot of concessions from you. So again, that's where a good buyer's agent comes in. And yeah, a bad home inspection, I don't know, sometimes it can work to your advantage. Take a look and always go back to the seller with your realtor and see what you might be able to get. Because there's something that would still make you want this house. Just find out if that something is something that you could get out of the seller, they'd be willing to negotiate on before you just walk away.
The other thing I want to bring up, as far as what Mike was saying with realtors, is you want to use a realtor because, yes, everything is great when everything runs all smoothly and the world is made in heaven, but this is not an industry that's made in heaven. And when something does go awry, or if something does, you want a professional realtor to go ahead and speak on your behalf. I'm sure you don't want to be communicating with the seller and the seller's realtor. You want somebody else to speak on your behalf. That's why you want to work with realtors.
It's a lot like if you look at a sports figure. Does a sports figure go directly to the owner and negotiate their contract, or does he have an agent negotiate their contract? So I think it's pretty universally agreed upon that having an agent represent you is
to a courthouse and representing yourself while you have attorney on the other end and not knowing the laws. So you want to So step 5, underwriting.
Yeah.
So our underwriting guidelines, this is the part where our underwriter confirms that we've met everything we needed to meet from the setup and processing, and that we have pretty much all the documentation needed to support our case. This is where the loan approval is issued. The part where we on the contract where it says that when we have the loan approval commitment date on there, that we need to make sure that we have it. So this is where you get your conditional loan commitment, and this pretty much just says yes, we'll do the loan, but this is what we need. Any additional documentation that's required by the underwriter, this is the part where we'll get. And pretty much once you get that submitted back to us, and keep in mind, this is an underwriting and it comes out, it is very important that you get the additional documents back to us, because that just doesn't wrap everything up. This file now has to go back into underwriting, and sometimes we have to abide by what our turnaround time is. It could be 24, 48 hours, sometimes 72 hours. So we take those days into consideration. So we're not rushing to get our clear to close. So we're keeping an eye on what the turnaround time is. So of course, this is probably the time where we're saying, get these documents into us as soon as possible, because it does need to go back into underwriting in order for us to get our clear.
Now let's jump over to, well, a couple things. Like I said, you want your loan commitment, or the loan could get suspended if there's something wrong, or it could be denied if they just look out. But in general, we don't get denials. We generally get a suspension. Suspension said this is something that needs to be addressed before we're going to issue a loan commitment. So usually we get an opportunity to look at that. So then it goes to closing. Closing is title company takes it. They put all the information together. Now we do need to get the closing disclosure has to be signed 3 days before closing. So a lot of times we don't have all the title information, everything like that, but it gets signed 3 days before closing. We're not going to be able to do anything if that doesn't happen. And then you show up at closing day, all the final numbers will be there. We'd like to have all those final numbers to you the day before so you can wire the exact amount in. If there's any questions, sometimes we'll give you a little bit higher estimate and you can get that money back at closing, often on the type of loan. But on closing day, you want to show up with your 2 forms of ID and pretty much be your driver's license, about anything else. And just be prepared. And we'd like to have everybody e-sign the general documents beforehand. Makes it a whole lot easier. Then basically when you come to closing, you're just signing the documents that need to be notarized.
Yeah, I just want to also touch on the commitment. Once you get the loan commitment, that we are still, or will, compliance and underwriting is still checking your employment the day before closing. So just because you're loan committed doesn't mean that you can now go out and start spending a whole bunch of money buying furniture, brand new cars and everything else. Everything until the day of closing, everything still has to stay the way it was at the time of application. So yes, we do, or it's required to do verifications of employment the day before closing. So please don't make any changes in your current situation once you get that approval.
All right. I got another question from Kaylee. She says, if my loan gets turned down with my existing lender, can you use my appraisal, or will I need another appraisal? All right. So if it's an FHA loan, we'll use their appraisal, or a VA loan, we'll use the appraisal. Conventional, generally not. If they're part of our approved list, or they're on one of our, approval type processes or systems, maybe. But I would say for the most part on a conventional loan, very rarely are we able to use that appraisal. All right. But FHA, we just get to transfer it over us. VA, we get transferred over us. If it's already done, again, it's a quick process. So as long as the existing lender, doesn't hold it up, it's not a problem. So get it over to us. And again, if it's a house or a townhome, and condos, not so much, because we're at the mercy of them. You get that to us early in the week, we can usually get that closed the next week. So it could be a quick process. So if your loan's falling apart at closing, let's go ahead and take a look and find out. A lot of times it's just not structuring it right. It's, there's so many things. So what we do is, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA, Fannie might need 2 years of tax returns. FHA might need 2 years of tax returns, does need 2 years of tax returns. Freddie, if you've been around 5 years, 1 year of tax returns. DU, which is Fannie, might need 1 year of tax returns if you're putting enough down, your credit scores are good, and you maybe have strong reserves. So there's a million different ways we can see stuff. Maybe you had a deposit the other lender couldn't source right. We can source deposits pretty easily. So there's a lot of things that we can do if they're real deposits that didn't come from a cash account, and usually you have the cash from something. Maybe you sold something. So there's a million ways that we're able to get these loans done that, again, I feel like there's a lot of good lenders out there, got a lot of good loan officers out there. They just don't have the support and the training and the people around them to help them problem solve. So that's why we end up getting these loans, and we try and close them quickly. And usually you can get the seller to go ahead and give you maybe a 10-day extension. And we talk to the sellers and the listing agents up front. We let them know what we're running into, what the other lender ran into, why they couldn't get it closed, and why we're going to be able to get it closed. So we try and be very upfront. We just don't want to mislead everybody. If we can't get it closed, we want to say it quickly and not on day 9, of the 10-day closing.
Yeah, so for pretty much that, we're into 35 minutes, and just want to invite everybody to just join and share our Facebook page. There's lots of information there that we're always sharing. Obviously, our Facebook Live on Wednesdays at 12. We have classes, tmfclasses.com, and then you can sign up for some of those classes. Some of them are in Spanish. Then we have just so many different classes that we do. Wednesday afternoon, 6:30, home buyer class. And then don't forget that on August 2nd, we have a very special guest speaker at the Wellington Community Center, Dorothy Jacks from Property Appraiser's Office. So that's going to be a big one too that you don't want to miss. So invite friends, realtors that you know of that would like to learn about how taxes are, how they come up with taxes out, just your questions, homesteading. What else? What am I missing?
Affordability. Big affordability. Now, Elizabeth, though, you've got a home buyer class coming up at PR Bakery in a week or two, right?
I do. So like the last week of July, pretty busy. Wednesday, I'm going to be at the Lake Worth office, our office in our building with Juana Consueda with Trueway Realty. And then that Thursday, I'm sorry, that's PR Bakery. I'm so sorry. Switch them around. PR Bakery Wednesday. And then that Thursday at our office with Juana Consueda. Again, it's going to be posted on our page. That one's going to be in West Lake Worth. And then those are 2 classes that are back to back. One's on Wednesday, one's on Thursday, but both with very talented and amazing realtors that I'm just very lucky to work with.
TMFclasses.com. Register for our classes. We've got a home buyer class tonight every Wednesday. Focus on down payment assistance, but 6:30 via Zoom every Wednesday night. But get used to TMFclasses.com. And Elizabeth, we need to start throwing your home buyer classes at PR Bakery onto our TMF classes so people could just see it with an address. We'll reach out to our IT and see if we can get that added. Go to our page, the Mortgage Firm Wellington Lake Worth, like, follow, write a comment, and we appreciate you guys joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.